Well, hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to your weekly dose of truth tarot. This is for the week of October 24th. I'm Terry Ann, and I'm here to give you a little view of what's coming up this week. And maybe, depending on what the cards tell us, do we have some kind of philosophical, maybe transformative view of these cards? So I'm using the Flow Tarot. This uses all elements of water to represent the four elements of the tarot. So it's kind of interesting. I have to, think a little bit. So in case you see them, ponds represent coins, waves represent batons, clouds represent swords, obviously up in the sky, and snow represents cups. So let's see what our cards have to say for this beautiful week of the 24th. Whether it's beautiful or not the whole week, I don't know, but the leaves in my area seem to be just kind of fading. So I thought, oh, let's make the background leaves. All right, so I'm going to split the deck and pull out, as we usually do, but I'm going to put it in a triangle. It's going to be 3 cards, so I need to look at it first. Oh, this is a major tower. It's the Tower, which is, maybe I should turn this around. Let's see if that works out a little bit better. I do prefer that. So the tower really represents, well, in this case, it says a looming storm. So that's pretty much what we can probably expect for the week, is that we're going to have the storm coming up in which. So if we look at this in a philosophical way, one is when the tower comes, if you really notice that the tower is like the body, we could do the Tower of Babel, but for the moment I'm going to do it as the body mind, which is just one complete mechanism that creates us, or is our constitution. There's the soul, etc. But in this case, we're going to work with the physical body. There's a storm that comes in that breaks apart the cranial area. As you notice, lightning and clouds also represents the mind, right? Swords is the mind, our thinking. So when you think of a sword, it is the ideas of, in the English language, cuts like a sword, he has a biting wit, cutting tongue, sharp, keen wit. Those are all elements of the swords. Even though it's clouds, even though it's air, is the element. We use this sword or metal because we are in the mind. It can be so, if we think badly. Let's say we have a bad way of viewing our lives. We have a bad way of seeing our lives. And if you think about it, if you go back to you're a teenager, you become an adult, your brain isn't even developed, let's say by 24, 25. There's always I'm always getting these conflicting numbers, but we could go well into our late 20s before our brain is completely developed. We can imagine for a moment, or if you use your own experience, that your ideas as a young person, some of them were dumb. Some of them could have gotten you into big trouble. And it doesn't mean we want to run around and everything's going to remain safe. We do need to have a modicum of risk in life. But some things, could have destroyed us. Now, I for one did a lot of dumb things. I did get into some troublesome spots, and yeah, I'm here to talk about it. But some of them were just not smart at all. And then there are secondary level ideas that kind of project into the future where they didn't work out. So one big one was, growing up with convoluted ideas of what a woman should be, should do, and achieve in her life. And you're experiencing a lot of information that the woman is not happy, the mother's not happy, the housewife's not happy. And we get this idea that the woman of the 50s was an unhappy woman. And if she didn't say she was unhappy, we could often go, yeah, she's just not aware of how unhappy she really is. Again, you could hear all of that and go, ridiculous. Then you had the confusion in the 60s for women who were married and believed that their problems in life were because of being married, of the old traditions, et cetera, et cetera. So you start to break them, and your kids start to break them. I just had about a month ago conversation with a cousin of mine who I wanted to, when I was really young, I wanted to debate the merits and the really awful points of feminism and what we were learning as women. And she yelled at me and said, "If you're a woman, you're a feminist." And I went, "Oh my God." So there weren't very many people to talk about this. So I went through my struggle myself and trying to figure it out. Yeah, I argued with some people, but most people just thought I was ridiculous. And then you get to my age, this is what, 40 years later. No, oh my God, 50 years later. And I look around and go, wow, did I have some really, really dumb ideas? So you could say that the tower had been working throughout my lifetime to break down the ideas in my mind so they would tumble out of my head, these concepts and ideas that were not working. And once those concepts and ideas were gone, you have a very clear, well, not everything's clear, but you try to make as clear as possible what would benefit people. Um, we tend to, even if I express this to a lot of young people, they kind of get a little bit very defensive. Like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. So many people go, you don't know what you're talking about. Now, remember, everything I'm about to say, there are always exceptions, right? The exception makes the rule. So there will always be exceptions to what we're doing. But um, if we perceive that when we come to a point in our lives, for me, it was my early 40s, I began to say, well, I love my work. It's been incredible, getting educated, doing, traveling around the world, teaching. I love working hard. I'm a very hard worker. I love it. I like studying things. I did go through ill health as well. But one of the things that I recognized, and by the by, in those years, my sister had kids. I didn't have kids, and every weekend I would say, "Oh, can I have the kids? Can I have the kids?" And I'd always, babysit. We go hang out. We do stuff. They'd play around my apartment. Uh, then we'd go to the park. We would throw snowballs, and in the winter, in the summer, usually they were gone, so I didn't get them, but I loved it. And I remember my sister saying, "Are you sure you want the kids? Like, are you sure? Like, don't they bother you?" I'm like, "Absolutely not. It's the joy of my life." Now that impacted me really strongly as they grew up. They didn't really come. They had friends and other things to do, so they didn't really want to come to my house. And also, my house was kind of boring, and I was always working and traveling, so I became boring to them. As my life became more interesting to me, it became boring to them. So the next thing that I started thinking was I was so busy, but part of me said, well, this is wonderful. I love my clients. I know they love and care about me. Not every one of them, but a lot of them did. They expressed it. They were happy to express it, but they were not part of my daily life. They were not part of, my daily concerns. They have their life. They're not my friends. They're not people who are supposed to come into my life and help me out when I have a cold or make me chicken soup or just keep me company while I'm having a difficult time. And I thought, really, is this the way it's going to be the rest of my life? Now, not that I didn't enjoy it, but I'll be alone. I'll die alone. If I get sick, I'll be. Yeah, so all of these thoughts turned me towards a brand new idea that was so old. It was new for me, but very old. I wanted to be in a relationship. I wanted to have someone with me as a partner, and I set my sights on achieving that. And it was only, I think, 4 short years later. I was about 48 when I truly decided, and then I was 52 And I woke up one morning with a very clear head as to what I wanted in a relationship. And the next day, well, my man showed up, and we've been together ever since. We're like on 13 going on 14 years. And it's very wonderful to have this companionship. And yeah, I think the only regret I have is not having kids. I think that is probably the most wonderful thing anyone could ever experience. Yes, I've had wonderful moments of watching clients heal. I've helped people, but there is nothing like watching my nephews grow up into, well, they've already grown up into young men, and what their potential is. There's nothing better than visiting my parents, seeing my parents, even though they're very old right now. Just seeing them. That's all I do is I work, I hang out with my partner, we are together, we do our stuff, and then the weekends is to see my parents. So I just gave you a massive story as to what the tower can do long term and the tower can do short term. So we're not really working short term with this reading. We're not working long term, we're working short term, but it could break down all kinds of ideas that are not working for you that have been long term. So, one, remain open minded, allow the light to come in, even if it's lightning that's going to crack apart your ideas. Like, let's say you have really strong ideas that you're arguing for all the time, that you're defending. Maybe it's time to just sit back and go, why don't I listen to what the other person's saying? Whether it's, I'm not talking about toxic people, all right? You don't need to listen to toxic people, but people uh, who care about you, who want the best for you, but have an idea that is different than yours. Maybe listen. You don't have to adopt their ideas, but it might just help you. Not only, you don't need to necessarily change your ideas, but you might need to push out some old really bad ideas, and you'll find your own creations will come forth. Your own creations. Let's see how I'm doing with that. So on one side, we're looking at, doesn't look so good. It looks like a tornado with my eyes that can't see. So this is Four of Clouds. It's waiting for the rain. So I'm not doing this as past, present, future. I'm just doing it as support to the Tower card. So waiting for rain. So this is the it's really like the calm before the storm. It's the balancing of everything, but you need something to tip the scales. So I think the best way to put that is what I was saying is this was more of a prediction rather than a statement from the Tower card. Is maybe it's just time to sort of listen to someone who's going to tip your scales, someone who's going to help you discard a bad idea, right? Bad ideas can kill us. Yeah. Just think about any bad idea that you have, it can kill you. And also, more long term, a bad idea can ruin the future of your life. It can create scenario. It can cause things that you can never amend. Right? Never amend. Like there are certain things that were bad ideas of mine. I don't look back and go, oh, I should have done this and I should have done that. It's a good idea to be responsible always, for what you are doing. So I was always responsible. I took responsibility. But when I look back now, I go, that wasn't such a good idea because then I would have this, that, or the other thing. But as you all know, if I had changed my trajectory at the time, who knows where I would be now. Now, I always think the universe is on our best side, but yeah, who knows? We don't know. And it doesn't really matter. What you do is what you do. What you're doing now and where you're going is where you want to change your ideas if they're not working for you. One of the things that a lot of people have trouble with is you have friends for a very long time in your life, and then you realize, oh my goodness, um, my friendships are a bit toxic. So then you get rid of some of your friends that are toxic. You don't hang out with them anymore. You don't. you don't promote the relationship anymore. You kind of cut them out of your life, which I have done in the past. Then you move on and you have to create new friendships. That's a full-time job, right? You really have to um, reassess. I would have to get rid of the old ideas that allowed me to have a toxic relationship in my life, and then find what are my new friendships. Yes, you have some friendships you treasure, that you love, and then you have some that you really need to let go of, and some to evolve. So let's see. On that note, the next, wow, it's fascinating. So the Four of Clouds, that was, this is the Hierophant. Okay. So we didn't really have too many minors. So the Hierophant, in this case, it's called the Channel. As you can see, it's a waterfall. So the Hierophant is where you come to wisdom. So if you follow this, and even if you don't, because if the Tower comes in, it'll knock your ideas out and it'll be more shocking. And you'll have to kind of go, well, now I've come to wisdom. That didn't work out. Or you could start immediately and say, let me reassess some of my ideas and help to transform them. Of course, to become wise and express your new wisdom. Let's say you've got a bunch of ideas and some are really, not good. They're useless. They could actually harm you or kill you. You knock those ideas out, and what starts to form, especially if someone challenges you, what starts to form is something new, new for you, and new in how you're going to create your life. Remember, I don't think too many ideas. I don't know if we can have a new idea. I don't know if anybody's really got a new idea. Like, what ideas are really new? In when I was young, I saw the world as as a well, to use today's words, I saw it as a simulation that we're operating in, and there were ways to change the simulation, and that God was at the head of the simulation doing whatever he wanted. Now we're saying, okay, now we're saying it's more this computer program simulation. So I thought it was a matrix, or the original words that I used were living in an illusion. Of course, we have that paradox that we constantly live in, is I'm an illusion, but if I pick up this water bottle, it is real. Okay, it is real, but everything's really an illusion. How do I know it's an illusion? Well, if I insist this is a water bottle and somebody comes from another planet and insists that it's a weapon, well, I can be flexible in my brain and go, yeah, I guess if right now, it's filled up with water, it's very, very heavy. Sure, that can be a weapon. Why not? Um, However you're going to look at things, we have the flexibility. But insisting that it's only a water bottle is part of what our understanding that things are not necessarily based only in fact, right? There are a lot of people who don't believe in God, which is so fascinating because there is the metaphysical. That's what I'm doing here, is the metaphysical. Some people tell me, yeah, sure, that's the way my week's been going. That's what's been happening in my week. Sure, I can give you lots of explanations. I've looked at the work I've done and I go, well, you might be hearing what I'm saying, and then you superimpose what I'm saying on your week, right? That may just happen. You might just go, well, I can interpret my week in that way, because we know in astrology you could mix up all the daily readings and put different signs on them, and everybody goes, oh, yeah, that's happened to me. Or a lot of people will. You could mix up the astrological signs, and people are going to say, yep, that's just like me. So really ultimately is that self-awareness and the sort of philosophical bent that's behind all of this. All right, my loves, have a great day. Look forward to hearing from you. Please like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any comments, or you'd like me to answer anything, or you'd like to have a different question, please let me know. And I will definitely look into that. Have a great day. Have a great week. And see you all next week.